Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights and welcome to another refurbishing video. On the table here today is this wonderful, beautiful, what is this? I believe a colonial two-bladed jackknife with these wonderful orange covers. They are shell covers. There's a patent number on there in USA, but I believe it's a colonial. I'll do a little research on that patent number maybe, and we'll find out. But what I wanted to do an initial starting here, because let's just look at these bolsters. You can see that there's been some rust on them. There's been some sanding done on the bolsters. There's still quite a bit of stuff there. And so this knife might take me a while because I'm going to work on these bolsters, and that takes a lot of time. So what I want to do is I want to start with like some 600 grit. And the way I kind of see it, and I've seen done on other YouTube videos, is you always want to do, like this is going to be vertical, and then your next step is going to be like 1000 grit. You want to do it horizontal, and then even smaller grit, you go back to vertical again, so that each time you're taking out the scratch marks from the previous grit. Now, see how loose that is? I take the chance, if somebody's taken this off, you see that little piece of metal that's turned over into there? You have a chance of breaking that. Let's start on a different bolster. Looks like somebody's taken the covers off of this, because it looks like that little metal piece is missing on that one. So let's start on this one here. It's a little more solid. So again, 600 grit. And we'll just start on this for demonstration purposes, because again, this might take me a long time. So you see your scratch lines are vertical. So now we'll go to 1000. We'll try to go horizontal. You don't want to just keep going in the same direction, because if you keep, this one's loose too. Oh boy. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what we can get done here. Now, if nothing else, you can end up with kind of a frosted, kind of a matte finish on it, which doesn't look bad either. Now you can see we've kind of rubbed out some of those lines. And then we go step it up to 2500. And we go back to vertical. And it's just a process of repeating that. And doing this by hand, it can take a couple hours of sanding just to get one bolster good. So we'll just see here. Okay, I'm going to finish up off camera, and we'll see you in a bit. Well, I wanted to stop and show you kind of my progress here. I have probably spent about, 20-30 minutes working on this one bolster here. Work on it for 5 or 10 minutes at a time, then come back to it. It's kind of tedious work. I've went to 3 sizes, or 3 grits of the sandpaper, and I just want to show you how I've been doing it. This is the 600 grit. So I'm going to start this way, and I'm going to go up and down with the 600 grit. Now, this being the strongest grit, I want to use it the least, I guess, is the best way to put it, because obviously it's going to put the deepest scratches in the metal, but it's going to take metal off a little quicker. So as you can see, we're slowly getting rid of that, or getting that sanded down and getting it sanded down evenly. And I'm not pressing real hard. It's just one of those jobs where you got to be very patient, and I'm trying to do my best to go, you know, as straight up and down as I can. Keep the lines, you know, parallel, the scratch lines. So I got my 600 and I'm going to rotate. Now I got my 1000 grit. So again, we went vertically that time, so we're going to go horizontally with this one. And by doing this, it helps erase the scratches from the 600 grit. And it's a little stronger of a sandpaper than the 600, so we'll use it just a tad bit longer maybe than with the 600. And as you can see, it kind of helps erase those lines. Instead of having vertical lines, we've got horizontal lines. So then I can take my 2500 grit and going back to doing vertical. And I want to probably spend the most amount of time with this one because this is the slowest grit, if you will. But you try to do it evenly. And again, I'm not pressing down really hard. And I want to point out something. This bolster, it's a shell. So there's just that little piece of metal there, bent over, holding this on, and you can see it's loose. So I would not want to use a power tool on this, like the Dremel or something, because I might just tear it loose, and I don't want to do that. So I'm being a little gentle because of that also. And as you can see now, we're kind of getting those the horizontal lines smoothed out, and now we're getting the perpendicular lines, but being 2500 grit, the lines are much smaller and not near as deep. Now what is great is when I have 3 in rotation, that was vertical. Now I'm going to go horizontal with this, but if you remember when I started vertical with the 600. Now I'm changing it up. I'm going to be going horizontal with the 600, and I'm just going to keep doing that rotation, and it shouldn't be too much longer, and we should just about be done with that one. This is about as close as I'm probably going to be able to get with the grit that I have. If you look at it from a distance, it looks nice and shiny. That black patina markings that were through there are pretty much gone. I mean, you really have to look close in order to see it. The scratches are pretty tiny. I probably need to get, you know, I ended at 2500 grit. I need to get some even finer sandpaper. As I said before, I'm concerned that these bolsters here are really loose, but I'm going to risk it here, and I'm going to use the cone attachment, the felt cone, because it's a little harder, and use some of this rubbing compound, and use the rubbing compound, and this is very light rubbing compound. There's not much grit to it, so I could probably start with some grittier rubbing compound, and it would probably get some of those scratches out just by using that. But I'm going to chance it here and go easy and see if we can't get this cleaned up just a little bit better. Okay, look at that. Now that looks like a bolster with a few scratches in it from just normal pocket wear, doesn't it? Just remember what we started with. Well, I'm going to work on these next bolsters. We got this one here. Now this one has some little dings in it, little holes in it. So I might have to start with like 400 grit sandpaper to get started. So these are dinged up pretty bad. These are going to take a while. This one here was about the easiest. Where is it? I've lost it. There it is. This one was the easiest. But look, it came out looking pretty good. And that's just with a little bit of this rubbing compound. Let's just give it one more shot, just for good taste here. I didn't even work on it very long. Let's see here. Wow, she's coming out looking good. Okay, time to work on the other bolsters. I wanted to show you my progress so far on this second bolster. I only sanded on it about 10 minutes. It's coming right along, a lot quicker than what I thought. But I did start out with a heavier grit, and I think this is 400. And then I went to 6,000, 2,000, 2,500. And I changed up my routine just slightly, same principle. So if I started, vertical with the 400, then I'd go horizontal with the 400. I ended up horizontal, so I'd start vertical here and then horizontal, the same way as we're going through the different grits. And the whole thing is you're just trying to erase the scratch lines every time you do that from the previous grit. Now I have an assortment of compounds that I'd bought before. I had tried using them. I wasn't happy with them. Maybe I was using them incorrectly, but I want to experiment here. I might have been using too high of a speed with the Dremel, but with the bolster in this condition, let's try some of this compound that has a little bit of grit to it and just see what happens. Again, using a much lower speed here. Okay, let's just check it out. Well, it seems to be working a lot better at that lower speed. And what I'm looking for is something that's, like I said, do you look close, you can still see the lines. I'm looking for something a little softer yet to remove those fine lines like in the first bolster. But look, it's working pretty good. Let's try it just a little bit more before we go back to sanding. Well, I think I've cracked the code here. That's working really well, I think. Yeah, again, there's some little dings down in there. I can't do anything about the dings. But it's taking all that black patina, rust patina off of there, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to go back to doing some more sanding and then maybe alternate between the sanding and the Dremel. I guess old dogs can learn new tricks. I tell you what, with this more abrasive compound here, along with this cone, I was, and then using the sandpaper, It cut my time down in about half, and it's looking really good. Now you'll see down in there, there's little dimples or divots down in there. I do not want to sand down so far as to get rid of those, and I'll show you why. I keep talking about shell covers, and this is a little different example of a shell cover, but you can see these bolsters are fake. And there's the little clip that clips down inside, and they're very fragile. If you take these on and off, or you wiggle them back and forth, just like you bend a piece of wire back and forth to break it, these things will break off very delicately. And you can see this metal is very thin. Very thin. So if I was to keep sanding down so far as to get those little dimples and divots out, you know, this thing would be paper thin, and I don't want to do that. However, so I kind of called it a fake bolster. A knife like this, actual bolsters, and you can see the pin coming through there. That's because a bolster is actually supposed to be, you know, like a hard piece of metal to help strengthen the pivots down here. And these are just kind of for show. They're kind of, I call them fake bolsters. So anyway, I've got this cleaned up about as far as I want to go. And I thought while we're doing this, I'll try some more of my assortment here. And let me see. The white is for use to remove scratches and highly reflective finish. So let's try using some of this white. And I think using the slower speed is kind of the trick for using this. You can see the black from when I use the same thing going there to there. I'm going to start off with a fresh cotton or felt here. These are a little softer as the nose. So let's just see what we can come up with here. Let's try it over here on this. We'll see what our results are. Okay. Well, look at that. Looks pretty good, don't it? How about this one over here? Of course, these kinds of towels are good for buffing. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that looks sharp. Okay, I think I'm done with these front bolsters. I won't show you probably too much footage, but I'm going to do the back ones, but we'll take a look and see what they look like.